right, Mike. Welcome back. It's good to see you again.
Hello. Is this okay? Do you need me to
No,
hold
no,
it? It's okay?
it's okay. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Are you all relaxed now after that first show? All the emotions. Have you recovered?
It was, I said it to the guys right after the show. It's like, we could all take a deep breath now, and now we could start to have fun. The first show was just so intense that even like, it just, even during the show, it just was a lot of concentration, and there was so much expectations, and so now with that out of the way, we can actually take a deep breath and now start to like enjoy it.
Yeah. Were you nervous before the?
I'll admit I was. I never ever get nervous before a show, but it was nerve-wracking. My first time back with the guys in I guess 14 years live, and such a massive venue and so much expectations and focus on us that we knew we'd be under the microscope. So yeah, it was actually nerve-wracking.
I'm just trying to imagine if you missed the first note or something. What would happen if you did that?
We knew the show starts with the kabuki dropping.
Yeah.
We knew if the kabuki drops without any issues, then we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it did.
Yeah. And when it comes to the set list, you are again responsible for it. What is the train of thought, no pun intended, but for the choosing a set list for a show? How many set lists will you guys have? How will that work? It's like a radio thing, like we have the A list, where those songs that are going to be on the set list for the rest of the tour. You have some B songs that, might change here and there, and you have one or another that you might just switch around depending where you play.
Well, it's none of those.
None of those.
Yeah. Back in my first tenure, I used to love changing the set list every single night, not only to keep it interesting for the fans, but to keep it interesting for us as well, having been doing it for 25 years at that point before I left. So, that is something that I know is very special for the band and for the fans. But with me coming back now, we want to get our tour legs back first.
Okay.
So the set list will be what it is now for a little while.
Okay.
And then once everybody's comfortable, then we'll start to experiment, and then I'll start to really get creative and start fucking with it. But for the moment and for the next little while, this is the set list. And in question, what was the train of thought in coming up with it? I wanted to have a set list that almost felt like a greatest hits show. Not that we have a lot of hits, but ones that are popular, ones that that are always crowd pleasers. You always know, which ones get the most energy, and we wanted to have a show that kind of represented the whole career of the band. It's impossible to cover every album.
Yeah.
So that was never going to be possible. We did that on the 20th anniversary tour, but that was 20 years. There was 8 albums to choose from.
Yeah.
Now it's 16.
Yeah.
So we can't possibly cover every album, but at least wanted to cover all of the different eras, and and throw in some surprises in there as well. A combination of both.
And being responsible for the set list, do you know is there any song from your catalog with Dream Theater that has never been played live? Is there any?
Yeah. Well, as far as from all of my albums, I should rephrase that. As far as all the albums that I played on,
yes,
I didn't mean my albums,
yeah.
but I mean from my catalog or whatever. The only ones that had never been played before is The Best of Times and The Shattered Fortress. But those guys played The Shattered Fortress without me, and I played The Shattered Fortress without them. But I think The Best of Times is the only song from up until 2010 that is yet to be performed. Only because when we did the Black Clouds and Silver Linings tour, we were, for most of that cycle, doing the Progressive Nation tour. Yeah. So, we didn't get to play everything, and we always we always knew with the Shattered Fortress that we eventually wanted to do the 12-step suite, and of course that didn't happen once I left the band. So there's still some unfinished business that we'll get around to for sure.
Yeah, and from the set list, from the songs that that are being played, was there any of those songs that was a bit more difficult for you to relearn or learn in a way?
Yeah, I mean, do you know the set list?
I've seen the
Okay, so I'm not giving anything away.
No. I've seen.
Yeah, I think Octavarium was a challenge, because that's a big piece. And we hadn't, the last time we had played that song was at Radio City Music Hall in 2006, which was the Score DVD.
Yeah.
That was literally the last time it was played until 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
So that one probably required the most amount of work because it was, it's a big song to begin with, but it was also almost 20 years since any of us had played it.
Yeah. And learn that was good. Did you felt good once you went into it?
Yeah, everything. Every song once we started rehearsing felt so natural and almost like no time had passed. Really, it all felt very comfortable pretty immediately.
Yeah, and are you surprised with the reaction of the first single from the upcoming album, Night Terror? I mean, the views, it's just fucking amazing. Were you surprised with the reaction that the fans got from the song?
Well, we hoped it would be as exciting as it has been, So yeah, we knew there'd be a lot of attention on it, and it was a big thing that we had to weigh because there's a few songs on the upcoming album that we knew were possible singles, and there's one that's like a real metal single. And we knew that that's like a real obvious choice, but we didn't want to come out with something that's just like a metal song. Yeah. After all this time waiting, we wanted to have something that really kind of had a little bit of variety to it and something that maybe the Dream Theater fans would expect from us. So Night Terror was the first song we wrote once we started the session. Okay. So what you're hearing there is literally the first thing we created together, when we reunited. So we felt like that was a good first impression for people to hear.
Yeah, I think it's that song is everything a Dream Theater fan wants.
That's what we hoped. Of course, Dream Theater fans are some of the most critical in the world, so it's impossible to please them all. Yeah. But we figured that one does have a little bit of everything in it, so we hoped that it would check all the boxes for everybody.
Yeah, I think it does. Listening to it, it was like, it's like those 14 years didn't pass.
It feels that way. As soon as we started writing together, which turned into Night Terror, it just felt like it was only like maybe a year or two, that we took a little time off and that was it. It didn't feel like 14 years or whatever. Yeah. There's an undeniable chemistry that is just, it's there for life,
Yeah, I normally say, and I did that because I used to do commentary on TV, and I had a guy that I work with, we had chemistry, and I couldn't get that with anyone else. And it's something you cannot teach. Yeah. I mean, you can learn to work with people, but chemistry, knowing exactly what the guy is going to say or what he's thinking, you cannot teach that.
That's absolutely true. And we had a little bit of like some test runs, you could say, before this reunion, because first was, me playing on John's solo album, and we immediately felt great. And then we did his tour, and doing his tour, you could just feel the energy and the excitement in the audience every night. And to us and to everybody that went to those shows, you could just feel the chemistry between he and I. It was undeniable. And then, of course, John and myself and Jordan did a third LTE album, so we were able to, see that chemistry was still intact as well. So we kind of knew from some of these little baby steps we took beforehand that it was going to be just like it was just when we left off.
Yeah. And speaking of the drum kit, I saw some images of it. It's a long, big drum kit. What do you? How many pieces of the drum kit is composed for this tour? How many? Do you have any idea?
I haven't counted, but everything there is absolutely getting used, you know. But I knew coming back to Dream Theater, I had to have the monster kit because that was kind of always my thing with Dream Theater. And all the years that I was away, it was enjoyable to scale down and do different configurations. You know, with the Winery Dogs first tour, I was just playing a small little 5-piece kit, and you know, different bands like Flying Colors and Transatlantic is a different setup. So I enjoyed getting away from the big kit for a while, but now coming home, I knew it had to be a monster kit.
Yeah, you really use every piece of it.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Well, it looks like, if you just look at it, it looks fucking crazy, but really there is a method to it. It's basically 2 kits in one.
Okay.
So I go from, you know, I play the left side for some songs, the right side for some songs. So it's kind of like having 2 kits in one, but because they're side by side, it just looks so mammoth.
Yeah, there is a method to the madness.
Yes, absolutely.
And you guys are coming back to Lisbon on November 16. You already said that the set list won't change much, but I'm glad to be back in Lisbon. You think the fans will be happy to see you guys again?
To me, like, the other night in London was so incredible. The atmosphere and the excitement and the joy in the air was just so incredible and intense. You know, I'm looking into the audience and seeing people crying everywhere. And the thing that's so exciting to me is that isn't a one-time thing that only is going to happen that one show. It's going to be like that everywhere we go for the next year. Every time we play any market, Lisbon or Berlin or Sao Paulo or, you know, Dallas, Texas, where every single stop on this tour is going to have those emotions.
Yeah.
So it's not a one-time deal from the first show. It's literally going to feel like that everywhere we go, and that's so exciting to me.
You guys are already announcing some festivals for next year, so it's safe to say that after the album comes out in February, that the touring cycle will continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, we're already booked through the summer with the festivals, but what's probably going to happen is this tour cycle will go through 2 phases. So the first phase is right now the 40th anniversary tour, which is focusing on the whole career and also focusing on the excitement of, you know, the reunion of this lineup. So, you know, between now and next summer, that's the focus. But then at some point after the summer, it's going to shift, and then we'll do another round focusing on the new album.
Yeah.
So, you know, with it not coming out till February, we don't want to play too much of the new album until people have had a chance to sit with it and digest it and stuff. So the good thing is that everyone's going to get kind of a couple of different phases throughout this tour.
Yeah, and just going back quickly to the album, did you guys recorded all the songs for that album? What I mean is, have you guys having leftover music?
No. Everything was brand new and fresh and spontaneous.
So what we hear, there's no music.
No, absolutely not.
No surprises.
No.
Cool. Mike, thank you very much for your time. Oh, I'm looking forward to see you again. You know, I think last time was with Winery Dogs in Lisbon, actually. So it's been a long time. So I'm just happy that you're back.
Thank you.
Really, just happy.
And I'm happy to be back. Thank you.
And I'll see you there in Berlin, and I'll see you in Lisbon as
Excellent.
well. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.